Surfacing last night, Jets GM Joe Douglas was on video talking, and it's right before the Falcons were about to make their pick, and he said they're taking this pick, which obviously we now know is Michael Penix. But he also said the Falcons were trying to trade for the Jets' 10th pick, which we assume, based on other reports, was Leatu Latu, who they wanted to come back into the first round and snag, who ended up going 15th to the Indianapolis Colts. This plan is just like, listen, I don't hate the aggressiveness if you love the prospect, but that would have been a hell of a trade. I mean, trading back into the top 10 from 43 would have taken next year's first round pick and then some, probably your second and third round pick. I mean, that would have been a massive, massive trade for a defensive player that ended up being drafted 15th.
Yeah, and Steve Weiss did come out and clarify that that was, in fact, the prospect they were targeting. And, you know, we can argue all you want about the prospect or the capital to trade up for that prospect. I'm going to just sit back and say, okay, this is once again, we're trying to address the pass rush. And I know we went defensive front with our second round, third round, and fourth round picks. Some of those guys I'm really, really high on the more I dig into them. This is, again, moments where we look back and we go, we didn't get the pass rusher. Whether it's Montez Sweat, Danielle Hunter, the list goes on and on. It just seems like the Falcons have continually come up short with this one area. And I do appreciate, the quarterback, we've had this problem. We're not going to have a problem for years to come. Let's fix the pass rush now. And I like Braylon Trice a lot. But waiting to the third round to kind of address that has never really worked out for the Falcons thus far. It's not to say it can't. With Raheem Morris, he had a ton of success with third-round guys in Los Angeles, rookies. So maybe that, that kind of can travel with him to Atlanta. But again, what I thought about it, it wasn't necessarily the prospect or the draft capital to move up, which you're completely right on. He was medically retired a couple years ago, and it would have cost a first-round pick and then some. You're totally right. That's a huge jump. But again, I would have just liked it to happen. That way we could criticize, something that actually happened instead of the Falcons and Terry Fontenot once again sitting there like, I tried.
And I really like Leatu Latu.
I think he's going to be a fine player.
He was my number one guy. I mean, I think the only reason he didn't go into the top 10, I would almost say the only reason he didn't go in the top 10, and maybe to the Falcons at 8, maybe they skip over Michael Penix, is because of those medical issues. But then you see this thing and you're kind of like, well, no, they were ready to mortgage the farm for this guy. And you can't hate the aggressiveness. If you have a guy like we said with Michael Penix,
the conviction in this year's class is incredible.
I mean, they apparently really liked both of those guys. The timelines would have been wonky. I mean, because it seems like that's the other thing about this that I thought about was like, you kind of signaled like, all right, we're going to wait. Like, we're not really going to be competitive this year. When you made the Michael Penix trade, well, then you would have mortgaged first round picks in the future and a bunch of other young players for this guy. With Kirk Cousins, that it just like I can't tell if they're going all in.
No, they're not.
They're
not. They're chasing their tail. They're going. Ooh, they're like scatterbrained running this off season where like the shiny object comes into focus and it's like yeah, whoa, yeah.
Oh, they're like me after a doobie in a grocery store.
Yeah.
It's like
that looks good.
That looks good.
And then at the end of your shopping cart, you're like, what the hell was I thinking?
Like
that's a great analogy.
Or hungover on a Sunday, you order like $200 worth of food and eat $10 worth. That's what it kind of feels like. I don't know about the thought process. Obviously, it didn't happen, so we don't have to sit up here and criticize anything that did happen. But it is interesting to think they obviously were very high on Latu, and I wonder how close that decision was. But apparently, they were dead set on Michael Penix. And listen, if you love the guy, the one thing I will say about this decision. You love the guy. You love the quarterback. You go get the guy. It doesn't matter. You should not let anything. You shouldn't try to move back and hope that he falls.
No,
they didn't even let Kirk Cousins. They didn't even let Kirk Cousins stop him. So if that wasn't going to stop him, nothing was going to stop him from getting Michael Penix. They have made their bed with Michael Penix Jr. They're going to have to lay in it, whether he's good, whether he's bad. We all hope that he's going to be a superstar because I'm done being negative about the Michael Penix thing. He is now our quarterback. I'm going to say the positive things. The guy can absolutely sling the rock. I cannot wait to see him on the football field because he's super talented. I just wish, as I keep saying, it was like in 6 weeks, not